if you feel that your digital life and your time online is taking over how you're living your personal life, why am I spending all of this time online? Be it for the dopamine fix of scrolling through Instagram, scrolling through TikTok, or posting on Instagram and hoping I get those likes, hoping I get those views. Do you want technology to be a tool that you use, or is it something that you are completely dependent on? You're listening to Give Yourself Some Leeway with me, your host, Eugene Lee. I've spent the last 4 years trying to discover how to break the burnout cycle, and as a high achiever in a fast-paced world, I know how easy it is to slip back into old habits, leaving you feeling overwhelmed and left behind. If you're anything like me, then you need to hear this. Burning out is not your fault. Yes, you can recover from burnout, and the post-burnout growth is not only real, but it feels amazing. This podcast is dedicated to helping break the stigma around mental health in the workplace, ending burnout culture for good, and the action steps that you can take today towards your personal growth and success. So let's do it. Something that I've noticed on the past few podcasts is that I get straight into the topic, that I don't take the time just to say good morning, because most of you, that's the time that you decide to listen on a Monday morning. So good morning. I really hope you have slept well, that you're off to start a really great day today. Have you taken time to smile? If you're watching the video, is this the first smile you're seeing today? Maybe smile at your reflection. Give yourself that 5-second smile to start your day off positively. Have you had your glass of water at least? Have you cleared your mind, rehydrated your body so that you're getting today off to a good, fresh start? Or is there another way that you're improving yourself 1%? I am so sorry. Ever since I've been traveling the past few weeks, I've returned to Basel and hay fever just kicking in. So the next few episodes are probably going to be a bit congested and nasal. So please bear with me. But are you improving your life at least 1% every day? And what's that 1% activity? A few weeks ago, I started a new challenge for myself that I decided to take on, and that was to help reduce my screen time, or at least become more aware of that. Because I realized I'm spending a lot of the day scrolling, and how much time am I actually wasting in my day that I could be spending on better activities and by serving others rather than just scrolling mindlessly through Instagram and sending people endless reels. And my friend sent me one, and it was about the 98 reels that you've sent your friend and they've only responded to 90 of them. And you're like, oh, how dare you not respond to all of the reels I sent you? And I realized how much of that time is wasted when I could be having a genuine conversation, a full conversation with that person, see how they're doing. So what is it that makes us all doom scroll mindlessly on Instagram, TikTok, through all these news feeds? And it all comes back to the dopamine addiction. And all of these apps are designed to trigger that dopamine response within our brains. That's what keeps us coming back. So, what is dopamine? Dopamine is a neurotransmitter in your brain that triggers the reward system. And evolutionarily, that would have helped us to go out and hunt, do all of these activities for survival, because you will be rewarded with this neurotransmitter in the brain. You'll get this signal of reward and satisfaction once the task is completed. Moving on, and now that we don't have to worry about all of the survival techniques that we needed thousands of years ago, that dopamine response can be triggered in something as simple as clearing your inbox and your emails, or getting a match on Tinder, or clearing a line on Candy Crush. And these apps are all designed this way so that we keep coming back, that we keep viewing ads, that we keep on getting views and likes and follows on all of these social media platforms so that they can be monetized. That our attention is a currency. And what they give us back is this false dopamine response. Where this really becomes an issue is if you have a type A high achieving mindset, you can be particularly prone to this dopamine addiction. And where that becomes a vicious cycle is when you're procrastinating on the real activities that you know need to be done in order for you to be productive. And you're procrastinating using these apps that feed that dopamine addiction, that feed that dopamine response that you want to achieve from the big tasks, be it in work or be it in your side hustle or your business or in a sport or another activity. And if you're feeding that with a pseudo dopamine response, a pseudo reward, so that your body is getting the response it's looking for, it's getting that satisfaction, but you're not completing the task at hand and further procrastinating, you're sending yourself in that downward spiral of self sabotage that can lead to burnout. So, this dopamine addiction that type A high achievers suffer from is coming from procrastination and perfection. That you can find that quick fix of dopamine in something as simple as going through your emails. Now, how do we recognize these things in our life? How do we recognize if this dopamine addiction affects us? If you take a second, again, it's all about coming back to the present moment and being more self-aware. And this was something as well. As soon as I started asking myself these questions, I was like, okay, this starts to make a bit more sense. As I am spending a bit too much time on my phone. And as soon as I stop spending all that time on my phone, I'm like, okay, people probably think I've just dropped off the face of the earth, that I'm not sending them 1,000 messages every day or 1,000 pointless, funny cat videos. Now, do you feel anxious or uncomfortable if you don't have your phone in your hand all the time, or if you lose internet connection? I see this the whole time. People, as soon as they lose Wi-Fi, they start getting fidgety, and they're like, "Oh, what do I do? Do I have to talk to someone? Do I put my phone away? Is there something I can do without being connected to Wi-Fi?" And I see this all the time. You see it in the bus. You see people walking down the street. You see people in the canteen at work, and they start taking out their phones. And it's like, okay, this is the one place where phone stays at my desk or stays in my pocket. It's only in if I'm really expecting an emergency call that the phone will come out, or if I'm really expecting something that I was like, okay, this is urgent and I need to have it on me. Not if it's, oh, I got an Instagram notification. No. If you feel anxious or uncomfortable without having your phone on you at all times, or if you feel anxious that, oh, the internet has dropped, where's my phone? I need that at all times. Have you noticed that you're not spending as much time with real world people, with real world connections? When was the last time you met face to face with someone that you shared real connection with your family, with your friends, with your partner? Do you use your phone to escape from stress and negative emotions? Is it a form of relief that if you're highly stressed in work, that you're like, okay, I'm just going to run to the toilet and spend 20 minutes on my phone. I need that 20-minute phone break. I need that 15, 10-minute phone break and just scroll through Instagram, and that'll just bring the pressure down, and then I can get back. It'll alleviate the pressure for a bit because you'll get that little dopamine fix. If you feel that there's a dependency that you need to get that doom scroll in for 15 minutes just to clear your head, is it affecting your sleep? Have you noticed that maybe you're spending a lot of screen time at night? Winding down the day includes a lot of screen time. And when people say that, you need to take a break from screens 2 hours before bed, and you're still at 10 p.m. logged on to TikTok going through videos, you're like, oh, yes, but I'm in bed. I'll fall asleep to my phone in my hand. That's not, that can affect your sleep. And while you may fall asleep while scrolling through your phone, what's your quality level of sleep? If your mind is still that active from the amount of graphic content that we have on social media. Another phenomenon that also happens is when you feel your phone vibrate in your pocket and you realize that you don't actually have your phone in your pocket. It could be already in your hand. You don't even realize it. Or it could be on the table, or maybe you forgot it somewhere, but you feel that it was like, oh, there's a notification there. I have to go check it. And the opposite of that, sometimes your phone's in your pocket and you check it anyway. It's like, oh, do I have a notification? Was there a notification that I could have missed? Maybe my phone didn't vibrate. Maybe I missed a notification. And you feel like you need to constantly check your phone just in case a notification came through and you did not see it. Do you feel like you're neglecting other things in your life because you feel that you need to dedicate them to things on your phone? I know some people when they play, there's a Clash of Clans and all of these apps that require you to sign in, get daily bonuses or hourly bonuses. You're like, oh, I can't miss this. I can't go somewhere where I won't have a solid enough internet connection that I won't be able to commit to this app or to this game or to posting this. So sometimes it's like, is it affecting other areas of your life negatively? Now, I'm not saying if you're posting on social media for your business and for your marketing in a healthy way, in a healthy fashion, then that's okay. But if this is just mindless scrolling or playing a game because it gives you that fix or that reward, that dopamine reward system, then that's affecting you negatively because you could be getting that dopamine satisfaction from social interactions in person and developing heart to heart conversations with a person in real life. Or do you feel a sense of, oh, I'm going to miss out? I have this sense of FOMO if I'm not always on my phone, and maybe something's going to happen in my news feed, or maybe someone's going to post something about this. I know they're on holidays. Maybe they're going to see something, and I'm going to miss out if I don't have my phone on me at all times. Rather than living present in the moment, this is where I am now. These are the people I'm spending time with. I don't need to look at my phone all the time. But if you feel that there's that constant sense of urgency that you need to check your phone at all hours of the day for fear of missing out on something, maybe there's an update, maybe there's some breaking news. I'm going to miss out on something if I don't have my phone on me at all times. And that was something that I had to go through these, and I was like, okay, some of these are resonating with me. I can see where I could be dependent, or I take out my phone sometimes for no reason. As I just take my phone out, scroll down, look for notifications, swipe them all aside, put my phone back in my pocket. And then about 2 minutes later, I could do the same thing again. Oh, there's still no notifications. I've checked, put it back in the pocket. And it just became this habit. How much time was I wasting checking my phone when there was no notifications to be seen? So, what can you do if you feel that your phone is having a negative impact on how you're living your life, how you're being present in the moment, how you're being productive or in a state of flow on a task? If you're constantly taking your phone out to check, then you're not going to reach a state of flow because that's a constant interruption on you getting into a flow state on a task. So, in order for you to get fully present, one thing that I've done is setting a clear boundary of how much time I spend on my phone. And I downloaded an app. It was called Minimalist Phone. I think Minimalist Phone. And what it did was it blocked out everything. I could choose a couple of apps that I need access to. Maybe that's making a phone call, checking my email during work hours, and a couple of others. Google Translate is a very handy one, especially when my German is still a bit it's improving, but I need Google Translate, especially for work emails. And then for all the other apps, so they're not a distraction, I can put a timer on them for, okay, I'm not accessing Instagram or Facebook or Snapchat or anything during my work hours. I'll block that out for 12 hours. And then if there are ones that I'm like, okay, I might need to check these throughout the day, I'll set a timer on them that, okay, if I'm checking this app, I have a 5 minute timer to check it. And if I find myself scrolling within that 5 minutes, I'll get a reminder and say, oh, 5 minutes is up. Do you need more time? Or is it time to close the app? And if I see that I'm scrolling, I'm like, okay, if I'm scrolling after 5 minutes, I'm not spending another 5 or 10 minutes doing scrolling, time to close the app. And it was setting a clear boundary. It's not a bit uncomfortable at first, but if you can set that clear boundary that you define when you look at your phone, when it's important, when is it a priority for you to look at your phone, and when are other things a higher priority? Also, if you feel that you're too dependent on certain apps, it might be time to take a break, especially if you have this fear of missing out or a sense of, okay, this is having a negative impact on how I live my life. I'm getting extra stressed about something, or I'm comparing myself to others and despairing that I'm not seeing where I am in life on the same level as all these influencers that are apparently living the dream according to their Instagram feed. And if that's causing you to compare and despair, maybe time to take a digital break from seeing all of that content and become more present in your life, become more grounded. What do you want to see in your life? Rather than comparing where they're at, where are you at? And if you're not happy with where you're at, okay, what changes can I start today in order to make this happen in the future? Another thing when it comes to especially type A and other high achievers, when rather than just scrolling through social media, we feel that there is this need to be constantly in control and be highly responsive to emails. And we use our phones as a tool to be highly responsive or to make sure that we're always online. Someone can always get a hold of us. If they need us, we're there. And we have all the tools, we have all the high efficiency, high productivity tools on our phones so that we are available at a moment's notice. And as a result, we can be hyper vigilant about trying to respond to everyone at all hours and never actually giving our bodies the time to wind down and to live in the moment. Now, what are ways that we can dial that in? Because when you're in that constant state of hypervigilance and highly responsive, it's coming from a narrative where you feel like you always need to be in control. That if someone was to take away those tools away from you, that you weren't able to access your emails at all hours, you would lose your sense of control. That you're not able to achieve at a high level because it's outside of your control now. And that can leave people feeling uncomfortable. So while technology is useful and it has its purpose, we need to stick with our boundaries for our own sake, for our own health. Because if we don't set those boundaries and give ourselves time to recover, it's this can be a very hard pill for some of you to swallow. It was hard for me at first also. If you don't set those boundaries and you're not giving yourself time to rest and recover, you can't show up at your best to answer those emails, to provide those results, to help contribute towards those outcomes if you're in a state of high stress and your emotions are getting the better of you. If your emotions are high, then your intelligence is low. And that can affect how you make key decisions or how you might interpret an email. Maybe someone responds emotionally in an email and you respond emotionally back rather than giving them the logic or the solution that they need. And that can affect the relationship that you have, be it with a family, friend, or a coworker or a client. So if you don't set these boundaries, that you don't need to be always in control, always highly responsive. You need to set a boundary that these are my working hours and these are my rest and recovery hours. These are this is my personal time. This is my professional time. If you feel that your digital life and your time online is taking over how you're living your personal life, it may be time to reflect on what your goals are. Why am I spending all of this time online? Be it for the dopamine fix of scrolling through Instagram, scrolling through TikTok, or posting on Instagram and hoping I get those likes, hoping I get those views? Or is it because you're trying to be always online and always focused on, I can be hyper responsive. I can always be online if I need to respond to this email, respond to this message, write up a report. If you feel that there's a constant need to be in control or there's a fear of missing out, it's time to reflect on your goals. Where do you want to see yourself in life? Do you want technology to be a tool that you use, or is it something that you are completely dependent on? That you it almost takes the control away from you. If you need to be in control and you feel dependent on that technology in order to stay in control, that technology is actually in control of you, because once you take that technology away, you're no longer independent of it. So that's something to consider also. If you're not setting the boundary with how much you rely on that technology and you feel the need to be in control all the time, it's time to set your boundaries. I don't know how many times I've said set your boundaries in this podcast, but maybe it just takes a while for that to sink in. You need to set your boundaries so that you can show up at your best when you need to perform. When you're not performing, you need time for rest and recovery so that you can show up at your best. You need to fill your cup first before you can help others. Sorry, hay fever is getting crazy, but if this resonates with any of you, if you feel that as a high achiever, you are struggling with how much time you're spending online, and it can affect your productivity, it can affect how you're showing up for others. It can show up when you're procrastinating. It's very easy if you have to do a report. It's like, oh, I'll just check my emails first. Next thing you spend half an hour just going through emails. And while it feels like, oh, this is busy work, it's just busy. It's busy, but there's no outcome. And it's just getting that dopamine fix of, oh, I've cleared my inbox, or I've put everything into folders and organized it. And you get that quick dopamine fix, but no task has actually been done. Or maybe you feel that, oh, I've got all of these AI tools that will help me fix everything and I can get reports done in no time. That's great. But if you feel like, oh, I can do a report at any time of the day, I can do it on the weekends, I can do it whenever it's needed, because all I need to do is sit down and do all these AI tools, you're not setting that boundary between your personal time and your professional time. You need to set that boundary for yourself so you can show up at your best when you need to, and also show up for yourself when you need to rest and recharge. If any of this resonates with you and you want to go deeper into it, you can always reach out to me at giveyourselfsomeleeway.com. Send me an email at eugene@leeway.ie, or down below I have a link. We can jump on the call. Let's just jump on that call, because a lot of people feel like, oh yeah, I'll get started next week, and then they're scrolling through their emails or scrolling through Instagram. It's like, oh yeah, I'll get around to that. I'll like to post for now. If you feel like you're struggling with that now, or even it's just something that resonated with you, it's like, you know what, let's dive deeper and see how to set those boundaries. Let's jump on the call and see if dopamine addiction is something that's taking up part of your life, and how can we solve that? It could be as simple as 15 or 20 minutes. It's less time than you're doom scrolling. Okay, until next week, take care.